Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So I am pretty excited for this video because today I'm going to be doing my indie eyeshadow palette collection, which I know you all are very excited about too. So this is going to be a fun video. Before we jump in, I do want to say a few things. First, just to clarify, indie means independently owned, which could be a very small brand, or it could be a larger scale brand such as Juvia's Place. For some reason, people get really offended when I say certain brands are indie, and they're like, they're not indie, they're sold at Ulta. That does not necessarily mean that they're not indie, it just means that they're independently owned, such as like Dose of Colors. But I also wanted to include really quickly that there are a few brands like Dose of Colors, Violet Voss, and Dominique Cosmetics, which I'm pretty sure are all indie, but I included them in my high-end collection because they are sold at Sephora, and I wanted to make this a little bit more even because I have so many indie palettes to be talking about today. I also, because I have so many to talk about today, it's gonna be like a really quick overview of each palette and each collection and each brand, and just like show you and move on, and I'll mention the ones that I specifically really love. I am planning to do like best of videos. Like previously I've done like the best of Juvia's Place. No, I didn't do it exactly like that. I went through all of Juvia's Place palettes and like talked about which one would be best for every other person. I don't know how to explain that. Like basically just going through and talking about one brand, doing swatches of every single shade, comparisons, everything like that. So I've done it with Juvia's Place in the past, and if you guys want an updated video, I can, because Juvia's Place palettes, my collection of them are constantly growing. And then also, I plan to do Certify soon, as well as Blush Tribe. I think those will be really good videos. And if there's any other brand here that I have a few palettes from and you want to see that kind of video with, just let me know so that I can go more in depth, because if I went in depth on every single palette that I have to talk about today, we would be here for like 8 hours and I need to sleep. So alright, I think the last thing I wanted to say is, again, same as last video, there are a few palettes I have not tried yet, but I will hopefully get to them soon. But this is my entire indie palette collection, or eyeshadow palette collection, except for two, because I was sent two in PR today alone. So I haven't even played with them. I have barely taken them out of the packaging. I've only swatched one. So I'm not going to include those in this video today, just because like they're not with me right now. Although I will say, before I started doing this video and like organizing everything, I literally had to go around my entire house because I had palettes everywhere. So alright, I think that is enough for the introduction. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. I lied. One more thing to say. If you are curious about this makeup look, I did it with the ColourPop Just My Luck palette, and I do have a video up on my channel for it already, so I will have that in the cards. Ooh, actually, wait, I have one more thing to say. Oh gosh, I'm the worst liar ever. I have so much to say to introduce this video. There's so many palettes to talk about today. There's no way I could possibly like link every single video I've ever done about every single palette I'm talking about today, but if you are curious about a specific one, you can go on my channel. I'm not sure how this works on like on the phone, but if you go on through desktop and you go to my channel, there's a search bar and you can just search like Ofra blah blah or Cleona blah blah, and you will find any video that I've done where I link that in the description box, which I'm pretty good about linking the description box. So that is how you can find any videos on any of the palettes that I'm talking about today, in case you do want to hear my thoughts more in depth if there is a video out there on it, because I don't have videos on everything. Alright, now for real, let's go ahead and jump on in. First, I have Juvia's Place. Okay, so I'll start off with I think I'll go from like biggest palette to smallest palette. So I have the Masquerade palette, which was my first Juvia's Place palette. I really love this one, love the tones. Next I have the Magic palette, which is also really beautiful. I love that this has like half warm tones, half cool tones. Next I have the Nubian 2, which I feel like this one doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Like, it's such a fun color scheme, and I really love the pops of color in here, and like the mustardy like brownie shade, and like, I don't know, I think this one is pretty fun, and it's more of a fun neutral palette, and I feel like no one talks about this one because it was a little bit older, but it's still a really good palette. Alright, next I have the, ooh, did not realize that broke. Okay, I have the original Nubian palette, which this is definitely one that I bought just like for the collection. I have used this a few times and I like it, but it is kind of just a typical warm neutral palette. Then I have the Saharan palette, which this one is actually super fun. I really love the metallic shades in here because they are super intense and really beautiful. Like, I love this shade as well. It's like a blue iridescent duochrome. Again, more of a fun neutral palette. Then we have the Afrique palette, which I love the packaging on this one. I feel like it is so fun and vibrant, and here is what the inside looks like. So I love this palette as well. I feel like it's such a fun color scheme. I had a lot of fun playing with this, and I don't know, I really like the different colors in here, especially like this super like highlighted yellow. And I do have full like 3 looks and review on this one, I know that for sure. All right, now on to all the like 9-pan ones, which I personally love the size of these palettes. I feel like there's just something about them, like they're so aesthetically pleasing to me. So first I have my favorite Juvia's Place palette, and this is the Tribe. Here's what this one looks like. This is the newest palette, and it is absolutely stunning. Love it so much. Again, I have 3 looks and a review on that one. And then I have the Douce palette, which is another one of my favorites. So beautiful. I plan on doing this in a Shop My Stash very soon because it's such a fun palette. I don't know. This screams spring to me as well, so I love that one. And then I have the Zulu palette, which this one bothers me because I never realized until like a few months ago that this does not have any names on it, and all the other ones have names on it. Is that strange? I wonder if they had a problem and they like accidentally printed it without names, and then they decided to just go forego the names to save money and just use this packaging instead. I don't know, that was a guess, but I love this palette as well, but I have not used it in a really long time, so I really want to, and I think it's stunning. I don't know. It's a really great rainbow option for really affordable pricing. Next we have the Festival palette. Again, packaging is everything. This palette I really don't tend to use as often, even though I do really like the colors in here. I guess I would say I'm not as inspired by this color scheme. Next is the Saharan 2. Love this one. Love the packaging on this one so much. This is definitely one of my favorites. Like I love like just like the 3 basic warm matte shades, and then all of these beautiful metallic shimmery shades are just absolutely stunning, especially this one right here, this icy blue. Love it. And then last but not least, I have the Warrior 1 and Warrior 2. Here's the Warrior. I feel like I could say like I love the packaging on every single one of these, but this one is like really spectacular. And here's what this one looks like. I think I used this one once. I really need to use this more. I plan on doing a tutorial putting these together, like 2 looks, 2 palettes with these 2. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And then here is the Warrior 2, which is like a lot of matte shades. I feel like these 2 are like the perfect buddies, and they did sneak peek that the Warrior 3 is coming out, so I'm pretty intrigued. Okay, next I have 2 palettes from Cleona Cosmetics, and first is the Paleo palette, which this is in my Shop My Stash for this month, and I have been using it a good amount, and I think I've used almost every shade now, and I do really enjoy this palette. I don't find it to be the most versatile ever because there's only 2 matte shades, but I'm not going to go more in depth because I'll talk about it more in my Shop My Stash review, but I am enjoying this overall. I think the shimmer formula is really beautiful. And then the other is the Archeo palette, which I have not used yet, but I love the packaging on both of these. They just feel like handmade with love, and the color scheme on this one is absolutely beautiful. It's like glitter as well, so definitely going to use this one very soon. It's stunning, and there's a lot more matte shades. Okay, next I have a bunch of palettes from Ace Beauty, and I kind of have a love-hate relationship with these. I feel like I love them because the color schemes are so beautiful, but I hate them because the formula doesn't work very well for me. It has been a few months since I've used them, so maybe I'll kind of revisit and see if I can get them to work, but every time I would do a look with these, I would end up really frustrated because they wouldn't want to stick to my outer corner, and I would have to go like through like hoops trying to get it to work for me. But I'll just show you all the palettes really quick. First is the Grandois palette, which I actually got this one in a boxy charm. This one was like a mess for me, but I need to try it again and see if I can get it to work. And then I have the Blossom Passion palette, which is absolutely stunning. The Classical Paradise palette, which is like the coolest neutral but not neutral palette ever. The Slice of Paradise palette, which I actually have gotten a few good looks out of this one. So, you know, it's a nice rainbow palette. And then last but not least is the Paradise Fallen. Oh my gosh, I love the color schemes of these so much. Like I want them to work for me so bad, and the Flare palette is so beautiful. I'm gonna try these again and see what I can do. I think I'm gonna spend like a full day, and by a full day I mean using both of Roman's sleeping periods to like get some good quality time with these palettes and see if I can get them to open up and if we can make this work. I don't know why I always revert to metaphors that are like about relationships with my palettes, but okay. Next I have 4 different palettes from Pinky Rose Cosmetics. So the first one is the Bright Lights collection, and this is what it looks like. It's a mess because Roman got a hold of it. From what I've played with this palette, I did like it. I feel like some of the shades are a little bit chalky, but overall it's nice. There are some pressed glitters in here, but they're actually really pretty and not that horrible to work with. So not the worst palette ever, not my favorite, but I did like it enough to give these other ones a try when they released them because they were so beautiful. So, okay, first I have the Obsessed palette, and I actually have used this one 3 times now, but I haven't done anything on camera yet with any of these palettes, and I'm so sorry because so many people wanted to see them, but I have been enjoying this one personally off camera. For some reason, I was the least excited about this one, but then when I got it in person, I kind of love this one the most. I don't know. I love it the most looking at it. I haven't used one of the other palettes all that much, so we'll see how it goes, but I do think that this is like a really fun, half neutral, half colorful palette, and I think what speaks to me the most is this like really minty shade right here. Love that. And then I have the Exotic Peacock palette, which is really beautiful. And I have only done 1 look with this one so far, but I feel like there's some really unique tones in here. I feel like I'm overwhelmed by these palettes because there's so many things I want to do with them. And then last but not least is the 80s Baby palette, which I have not used this one yet, but again, it's so beautiful. So many pretty tones here. So hopefully I will get to those very soon. Okay, let's talk about something tragic for a moment. This is the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. I actually shared this with you guys on Instagram today. I opened this up. I literally used it last month, and I opened it up today to compare it to another palette. And there's literally mold growing in the shadows. It's disgusting. So I contacted Melt Cosmetics to see, you know, what's happening because this palette's not even a year old yet and there's mold. I've never had that problem with any other palette or eyeshadows. I don't keep them in like a damp area, so I'm pretty sad because I really do love this palette and I love these shades in particular. Like if there was mold on like these ones, I'd be like, okay, like I can live with it. Like I'll depot the half that's fine. But no, there has to be mold on the shades that I love most. So pretty sad about it, and I'll keep you guys updated on what happens. Also for Melt Cosmetics, I do have the Radioactive Stack, which there's a hair in that. There's like a green, a yellow, an orange, and a pink. I really want to use this again and get more use out of it because I kind of had a bad first impression, but then I looked back at the look and I kind of really liked the look that I did with this. So maybe I was just being picky. I don't know. I'm going to try this again and see how I feel. Okay, so next I have 2 different palettes from Suva Beauty. The first is the Trick or Treat palette, which I bought forever ago. Oh no. Oh wait, no. That is... Oh my gosh, I thought this was literally empty because of how dark this black is. I thought that I was missing a shadow. That's hysterical. Definitely the standout to me is this red right here, which is actually called Bloody Mary. So I'm a little obsessed because I'm obsessed with Bloody Mary. It's a story for another time, but I believe some of these shades are available like permanently, but the palette together was limited edition. And then I also have the Protégé palette, which I got in a BoxyCharm. Just looks like this, and this palette is really pretty. I did enjoy using this one. I think the highlighters are pretty. I really want the Block Party palette, but I never purchased it, and I'm like, I know I don't need it, but I still kind of want it, and I think that one's really beautiful. Okay, so next from Kaelyn Cosmetics, I have the Louise palette. I don't know if that pronunciation is right. I looked it up, and that was like the Greek pronunciation. I don't know. But this is their Goddess Collection Volume 1 palette, which is really beautiful. I've been playing with this a lot, and it is stunning. Let me just put the mirror down so you can't see my mess. And I will have more thoughts on this soon. I plan on doing a video on a bunch of Kaelyn Cosmetics stuff, but this palette is really fun, and it has a lot of cool tones. The metallics are super foiled, and I think it's really pretty. Next, I have the Strobe Cosmetics Creepy Cute palette, which this is my favorite pastel palette. It's so nice. It's just such a good palette. The shades are super pigmented, vibrant, blendable. Love this. Next, I have the Enchanted Luster Cosmetics Luxury Chrome Bow palette. I did do a video using this, like a tutorial, And here's what it looks like. Next, I have the Amy Hearts Beauty Stone Cold palette, which was limited edition. I know the shades were available for purchase individually afterwards, but I'm not sure what they are, or if they're available now anymore. But this is what it looks like, and I really enjoyed this palette. Next, I have two palettes from Nomad Cosmetics, and the first is the Antilles palette, which just looks like this. The packaging is everything. I really loved this one. I can't wait to pull it back out again for more springy looks, but this is a really, really beautiful color scheme. Very summery. And then this is the, okay, that's in a language I don't know, the Marrakesh palette. And I kind of love the packaging on this. Like, it kind of looks like a book, and I feel like it's so sleek and beautiful. And you could, I think you could pop that actual palette stuff out of it and use this as a, like, some type of box afterwards, which is a nice idea. So this is actually like a full kit. Like, there's a mascara, an eyeliner, a brush, and then the shadows in here, which this was sent to me as PR forever ago. I don't think I ever ended up doing a video on it, and I felt like the shadows in here were a little bit chalky. I wasn't a huge fan of the formula, but I really love the newer palette, so I think that they have definitely improved. Next, I only have one palette from Colored Raine, and it is the Queen of Hearts palette. It's so beautiful. I am really, really tempted by the Safari Rain palette, but I decided to give it a little bit of time, watch some more reviews. But this is what this palette looks like. I don't know if it lives up to the hype. Like, people acted like this was the most amazing palette to ever exist on the earth. I don't know if I would go that far, but it is definitely really good quality, and I like using it. Next, I have the Mermaid palette from KG Beauty, and I believe that they are now called Katie Beauty, with the 8 in the middle being like Roman numerals. If I'm correct, I will make sure to link it down below, but I think this was limited edition and not available anymore. I think now they just have highlighters, but this was such a beautiful palette. I wish that they would have kept it like permanent. Like, the packaging is stunning. Like, you can see all the seashells, and like the names in this are amazing. Vitamin C, Kelp, Fantastic, Call Me on My Shell Phone, Tall Tales. Like, I just love this palette. I think it's so well done and it's so fun. So I don't know, I wish this was still available. Next, I have the September Rose Slush palette, which the packaging on this also I love. I feel like indies kill it with packaging, and this is what it looks like. I partially like this palette. Like, some of these shades are amazing, and then other ones are like kind of duds, which is disappointing. But I will say the yellow here, Banana, is the best yellow to ever exist ever. Next, I have the Joy Lorraine Cosmetics Paradise palette, which just looks like this. It is ginormous, like bigger than my head, and it's actually really, really good. The mattes are all super vibrant and blendable, and the metallics are really, really nice. I remember the only one I didn't really love was this red, and they actually told me after my review that they switched this to a more metallic red, which I thought was super cool. Like, they took my feedback and literally changed the palette. So I do like this one. I don't pull for it as much because obviously I'm overwhelmed by palettes, but I have done quite a few pretty looks with this one. Next, I have one palette from Saucebox Cosmetics, and this is the Secret Garden palette. This was definitely a regret because I feel like I bought it like just on a whim, and it's beautiful, but I feel like the quality isn't that amazing. Like, it's more on the sheer side. So I just don't find myself wanting to reach for it. If the colors were like this, were super, super pigmented, I think I would feel different. But I feel like you really have to work to build them up, which is disappointing. Next, I have one palette from ADEP Cosmetics, and this is the 4K Stay All Day Eye Palette 1. And this is what it looks like. This is the only baked palette I have, other than I think maybe one from BH Cosmetics, but just like baked alone. And I tried to declutter this, but I couldn't because it swatches so well, but I don't reach for it very often. So I'm torn on it, but I think it does have really beautiful colors. Okay, next I have 4 palettes from Certify. So the first one is the Destiny palette, which is beautiful. There's what that one looks like. And then we have the Tropical Wonders palette. Oh wait, the Tropical Wonders palette. Super beautiful rainbow palette. And then we have the Dynasty palette. And last but not least, the Affinity one. All super beautiful. So I want to do a more in-depth video on these soon. Next, I have the Laura Lee Los Angeles Party Animal palette, and this is honestly horrible. Like, it's one of the worst palettes I've ever owned, but I guess I kind of keep it for, like, comparison purposes. I really want to do a video, like, duping this because the quality in this was honestly just tragic. I got that in BoxyCharm. Next, I have the Maxup the Makeup Cosmetics Flower Child palette, which I've really been digging. This is super beautiful. I love the packaging and love the colors. I have the Andy Kenny Makeup Sweet Tooth palette, which I have not used yet, but I'll just show you inside real quick. Alright, next I have the Alomar Cosmetics Reina del Caribe palette. I sound ridiculous trying to roll my R's, but I'm trying to practice. So this is definitely my favorite thing that I have ever gotten a BoxyCharm. I feel like this is such an amazing palette. So this is what it looks like. The mattes are good. I like the mattes just fine, but I feel like the shimmers are where it's at. Like, I feel like these are like Natasha Denona quality shimmers. Oh my god. There's literally a cobweb right there. I just died. Oh god. Okay. Distracted. The shimmers are Natasha Denona quality. So beautiful. I love these so much, and I reach for this a lot. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes. Next, I have the Sydney Grace Cosmetics Autumn's Rain palette, which I really want to do a full review on. I use this palette so much in, was it January, I think it was, because I wanted to do a review on it and I still haven't, which this kind of reminds me I need to pull it out and just talk to you guys about my feelings on it because I went hard on this palette. I've probably used it like 20 something times trying to gather all my thoughts and see how I felt, but I really love Sydney Grace as a brand. I love their single shadows, and the packaging on this palette is so pretty. I love it. Next, I have the Divina Cosmetics Secret Diaries collection, which you can purchase all of these as individual shades, but I still have it in the palette here. Love this. I did a video using it, and I think the shades in here are really fun and unique. I do plan on taking them out of this palette and putting them with the rest of my Divina shadows. I just haven't done it yet. Okay, next I have 3 different palettes from Menagerie Cosmetics, and I did a video on one. I did one on the Take Me to Tokyo palette, and I loved how it went. I thought that this palette was really beautiful. I was very impressed with it, and I've been meaning to do first impressions on the other 2, but I'm literally the worst. And this Take Me to Paris palette I have wanted to use so many times, but every time I go to reach for it, I'm like, no, you need to do a first impression, which I need to stop telling myself that. I just need to use things whenever I feel inspired to use them, because I love the color scheme of this palette so much. I don't know, this just speaks to me on so many levels, so I'm gonna use that very soon, hopefully. And then I also have the Santorini palette. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Next, I have the MB Boutique Duochrome palette, which just looks like this. Super beautiful shades. I have found that these work about 1,000 times better with a wet brush rather than a dry brush. So that's a little bit interesting. I'm not normally the person who uses a wet brush every time, but I found that to be really helpful with this, and I do think that they're beautiful, but I am going to use them more, and I have a video planned in my head I want to do with this. Next, I have the Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival palette, which is one of my favorites. Oh my gosh, I love this. Ooh, I should do a shop my stash with this one. This is such a good palette, and I love the shades. I love the variety here. I feel like there's so much you can do with this, and I always end up feeling inspired looking at it. I especially love this shade shuffle. Next, I have 2 little quads from Shade Beauty. The first is the Big Top palette, which just looks like this, and it's like glittery, like, I don't even know how to describe these. They're almost like, they're like eyeshadows, but like thicker and with a lot of glitter. And I do think that these are really beautiful. I have used them. You can see, like, look at the shine on these. They are really stunning, and it makes me curious about more from Shade Beauty. And then this is the Nightshade palette, which is like really glittery as well. And I've only used this purple one so far, but it is so stunning all over the lid. And I think these reflect so beautifully. Like, they're so fun. They actually do have like a little quad that looks like it's like all 4 white shades, but then I think they're all different duochromes, and I am intrigued by that one. And I really like the size of these. I feel like they're really cute. Okay, next I have 2 different palettes from Makeup Slave, and the first is the Confessions of a Cancer palette, which I really like this one. Here's what it looks like. The Makeup Slave formula in general is like very, very high pigment, but also very soft, like the most kickback ever. So it kind of depends on if you like that kind of formula, which I definitely can work with it. I think the shimmers are all really, really beautiful, and I really like this palette. There are some very similar warm tone browns in here, but overall I do pretty much always end up enjoying the looks that I do with this. Also, the packaging is super simple. It's just like the star sign of the Cancer, or like, you know, like the actual star sign. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyways, I appreciate that. Like, it's so simple, but it's so cute at the same time. And it's got sparkles on it, so I like it. And then the other palette from them is their Autumn Equinox palette, which is super cute as well. Like, packaging is on point. Colors are on point. I really need to pull this out and use it more. This was their palette for fall, and all the shades are beautiful. It's like the perfect fall palette. Okay, another collection we're going to have to breeze through is all of my Blush Tribe palettes. Like I said, I'll do a video soon on all of these because there's a lot here and a lot to discuss, but these are really, really beautiful. I love this brand. I love all the packaging on these. I love the diversity, the women empowerment. Like, I'm just all here for it. She supports small influencers a lot. You'll see that in the different people on the palettes. So I think, I don't know, I love this. So I'll start off with a palette that's not available. This is the Just Blend It palette, which is just a little quad. It's so cute. This was actually my first purchase from Blush Tribe, and it's just like a little sunset in a quad. It's really beautiful, and all the different ones have different people who inspire them, which is really cool. Okay, so next is this Sonia Zarine palette, which is supposed to be like the perfect neutral bridal palette, and I think this one's really fun. It's like a fun neutral palette. I have been using this one a lot recently. I've been really enjoying it. I've done like some super bright pinky looks. I've done some super toned down looks. I've done like a nice green lower lash line. So I am having fun with this one, and I think it's really nice. I really love the formula of all Blush Tribe palettes. And then next is the Fall Fusion palette, which it was limited edition and no longer available. I'm hoping they bring it back for fall next year. This one is gigantic, like so huge, but these are the shades. I didn't use this one as much as I wish I would have, and I know I still can use it, obviously, but that is what it looks like. And then the Hasina palette. This one swatches amazing. Like, this is such a fun color scheme. I feel like this is one of the older palettes, so it doesn't get as much credit, but it is really beautiful. Next, we have my favorite palette, because this is Paulina from Paulina's Beauty, her collaboration with Blush Tribe, and it's absolutely beautiful. I did a look with this yesterday, and it was amazing. Like, not the palette, like, it just blended so beautifully, and I can't wait to do more looks with this. I'm very, very excited about it. Okay, then, oh, I just said the Paulina palette was my favorite. The Paulina palette is my favorite because it's Paulina, but the Hasina 2 palette is like my color scheme. I love this so, so much. That mixture of purple and greens. This was my favorite palette of 2018. I've raved about it enough. I'm talking through every single palette, even though I said I wouldn't. Here is the Malika palette, which is definitely more like, you know, like a warm neutral palette. I wish that there was like one more fun option of shimmer in here instead of like a light champagne, a light gold, and then a bronze. I wish there was like one like fun shimmer, but other than that, I do like this palette. And then I have the Blossom palette, which this one is a little bit hit and miss. I feel like some of the shades could be more pigmented, but overall it is a really beautiful rainbow palette. And then last but not least, we have the Munaza palette, which I have not used this one yet, but it is, oops, there's the sheet. It is very, very it is very beautiful. I have one palette from Sigma. This is their Warm Neutrals Volume 2. I tried to find if Sigma was independently owned, and I think I remember it being hard to find the answer, but I think that they are. Anyways, this is what it looks like, and I do kind of like this palette, but overall, it's just not something I would see recommending. Not in love with the formula or the colors. I mean, it's fine, but it's nothing to write home about. Next, I have two palettes from Ofra. One is the Francesca Tolot Infinite palette, which I just did a video on recently. Looks like this. And then the other is the Ofra Bright Addictions palette, which looks like this. Also have videos on this. Alright, next I have the Balm palettes, which I think the Balm is still independently owned. I actually have the Matte-trimony palette as well, but I have no idea where it is. But first is the Meet Matte Nude. This was my first palette from them. I loved it so, so much. My mirror is completely shattered. I should really like put tape over that or something to to be careful with my eyeshadows, but this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can tell, but there are dips in a lot of these, like especially the white. Like I'm sure I'm close to hitting pan on that one. I was obsessed with that white shade. I used to like set underneath my eyes all the time with that one. This was one of my like OG palettes. I think I got this on Amazon. And then here's the Matte-ador palette, which I have not used anywhere as much as the other one. Next, I have two palettes from Menagerie Cosmetics, and the first is the Dragon Child palette, which I love the packaging on this one. And here's what it looks like. I have played with this one a little bit, and I'm kind of torn about how I feel about it. I feel like the shimmer shades swatch so beautifully, but getting them to apply on your eye the same is a little bit difficult. And I think overall the mattes are really, really beautiful. I remember doing a few good looks with this. I didn't do anything on my channel. Just, it was me playing with it by myself. But I definitely still have a lot more to go with it before I can like fully give my thoughts on it. And then I have the Feral palette, which I have not played with yet. And this one is beautiful. Here's what it looks like. I do have I have two of the new shades in here. I think it was these two, but I kept this one. This is the old shade, and I like chose these two to change because I really liked this older shade. I think they were wanting to change these two out, but basically I customized this myself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they revamped this palette and changed it, and then if you were willing to pay shipping, you could get the two new shades for free, and I have the two old shades in a little palette here. Okay, next I have a few different palettes from Bombshell Cosmetics. The first one that they released, I believe, is the Candylicious palette, and this one is ginormous, and I really liked the formula of this one a lot. Here's what it looks like. I think the colors are really fun. There's a lot you could do with this. I really liked this. I don't think I did a review, but I did a full week of it, so I did 5 looks using this in case you want to see. I think I talked about my thoughts on it at the end. And then they actually did send me their newest collection in PR, so I just did a video on the Sour Blast eyeshadow palette. It just looks like this. It's beautiful. And I have yet to use the other two. This is the caramelized. Although oh man, it smells so good. I'm hungry. I plan to use this one very soon. I don't know why I'm feeling a little bit more natural these days. Hence my super green eyeshadow. But honestly, no, I'm not feeling natural. I'm feeling lazy. Let's get the wording correct. And then the Oh Hubba Hubba eyeshadow palette, which is also really, really beautiful. And I'm interested to see how these perform, especially these purples right here, like that. I love purples. Alright, so I do have a few more palettes to talk about, but I wanted to kind of group them together at the end because I'm going to talk about Glamlite, P.Louise, and Sample Beauty, and all 3 of these brands do sell mink lashes, which I personally feel makes them not cruelty free. I will say Glamlite, I did have a discussion with whoever runs their Instagram account because I was affiliated with them. I didn't realize they sold mink lashes, and then I removed my affiliation, and they were super awesome. They were super like open to hearing about how minks are treated, and they said that they could see like it being like in the future to moving to only synthetic lashes, which I really hope happens. And if it does, like I said, that I would be more than happy to be affiliated with them again because I do feel like they're a great brand. They're doing a lot of amazing things and they're very, very innovative. They're Latina owned, so I'm all about them, like Glamlite, except they sell the mink lashes, which stinks. But I will talk about all my palettes from them. Some they sent and some I purchased myself. And then, like I said, P.Louise has 1 pair of mink lashes, and then Sample Beauty has quite a few. I bought the Sample Beauty palette without realizing that they sold them. Now I am remembering whenever I find a new brand to go on their website, click search, click and type in mink and see if anything comes up. And I don't want to get repetitive. I know I'm already repetitive, and I'm not trying to like preach or like say that anyone should feel the exact same way as I do. It's just that whenever I talk about these brands and I don't mention the fact that they sell mink lashes, somebody always tells me like, do you know that they sell mink lashes? Yes, I do know. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right. First off, the coolest palette ever is the Glamlite pizza palette. I really, really love the packaging of this, and they're doing a lot of food themed things now, which is really cool. I am like kind of cheering them on from the sidelines still, and this is what it looks like. Super, super fun. I actually did do a video with this, but forgot to turn my mic on, so I never posted it. And I feel like the mattes in this are amazing. I just feel like the shimmers, I wish there were more options. There's a green, a gold, and a purple, and that's all the shimmer options there are, and there's so many matte shades. So that was like my only gripe with the palette, but I do think you could do so many beautiful things with this, and it is such a fun theme. Oh, and also this was breaking for me. And then I have the Alondra Dessy palette, which I thought was really beautiful as well. Velvet. I think that this was their first collaboration, and here's what it looks like. Super beautiful, warm, neutral palette. I bought this because I'm a sucker for their metallic formula. It's so good and like foiled and just looks wet on the lids. So I love that. And then I also love their Miracle palette, which looks like this. A portion of all the proceeds went to help breast cancer research. Again, the foils in this are so beautiful, especially these two shades, Angelic and Amore. Everything. And then we have the Caliente palette, which I really love this one too. This is their first colorful palette. So beautiful. Same really beautiful shimmer formula. And yeah, I don't use these as often as I used to. I really should just continue to pull them out more for myself because, like, you know, I have them here. And then last but not least is the Royalty palette. Oh wait, no, I have one more. This is the Royalty palette either way. Beautiful. I love this shade right here. It's like a topper, Glamour. So beautiful. And then last but not least is their first palette, which was the Masterpiece palette. Just looks like this. And it is a neutral palette. The formula on this is not my absolute favorite. I think it is cool to have the oldest one because I can definitely see the formula improvement and it's exciting. So hopefully they do go ahead and transition to synthetic lashes only. All right. 3 more palettes to talk about, you guys. 3 more. Whoo, lordy. Next, I have the original P.Louise palette, which I was so excited to have because this was really hyped up by a lot of UK artists, and this is what it looks like. I honestly love this palette. I love the color scheme. I feel like the shadows are really great. They don't swatch the best, but they perform really well. I love the whole idea behind it, and you just have like your 2 like shimmer like highlighting shades and then everything else is matte. And the reason they do that is because at P.Louise Academy they personally prefer to use pigments, so they prefer to have mostly matte shadows, which I think, you know, if you're doing all pigments and then you have like a nice little brow bone highlight, inner corner highlight, it all works out. And like I reach for this palette for this white all the time. I feel like that's a really good white. So I do love this one still. I think it was limited edition or discontinued or sold out or something. And then I have the Secret Sinner palette, which is like the most extra packaging ever. And here's what it looks like. Super beautiful. Love the color scheme. Like, this is everything. Again, it's one of those things I should still continue to use it. Like, ever since I found out that the lash was mink, it made me like not want to use it, but it is so nice. Such a good palette. I do have like a full review, first impression, a week of using this palette, so there's lots on my channel in case you're curious. And then last but not least, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been talking forever. The Paradigm, no. Oh my gosh, you guys correct me every single time I say this palette wrong. I'm gonna Google it. Paradigm? What?
Paradigm.
The English language never ceases to amaze me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Sample Beauty Paradigm palette. So this is a mostly matte palette. Just looks like this. Oh gosh. Oh, you just saw my mess. Yeah, I know. I need to clean up like really bad. Okay, we're going to keep the mirror all the way down there. So this is what it looks like. And the color scheme is really beautiful. I was honestly so interested to try this because, like, I feel like I've heard good things, but also I haven't heard anything. Like, do you ever feel like that with certain Instagram brands? It's like you always, like, there's hype, but you never see anyone actually review it or talk about it. So I wanted to review it and talk about it, which I haven't reviewed it or talked about it yet. Sorry. But I have used it I think I've used it twice off camera and I liked it enough. The shimmers weren't anything spectacular. The shimmers were just like lackluster. I don't know. I'm really picky about shimmers now. I do really like the whole corner kind of thing. Like, there's a white and a black for lightening and deepening, and then you have your primary colors. There's a yellow, a red, and a blue. It took me forever to figure that out because those are the only shades that say SB on it, and I was like, what makes those shades unique? And then I realized with those shades you could make any shade, basically, I think is the idea, even though I don't really mix my shadows all that often. But I will talk about this palette soon regardless because I know you guys still wanted to hear my thoughts on it. And yeah, so that is the last one I have to talk about. Okay, yay, yay. Oh my gosh, I have quite a mess to put away. Like, that's a lot of palettes. So that is everything for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said before for the first eyeshadow collection video, if there's any particular thing you would like to see, definitely let me know down below and I will try and do it ASAP. I also would love to hear if there's any particular brands that you want to see the collection video type thing on. Like I said, I will do Blush Tribe and I will do Certify soon, and if you guys want an updated Juvia's Place, I can do that as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited that this video is finished and I'm gonna go eat some cookies. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.